Have you ever tried to track down a Will County court record, only to find yourself totally overwhelmed by a maze of clunky government websites? Or maybe you're worried about suddenly hitting a paywall just to see a single public document. Well, you're definitely not alone. Today, we're going to dive right in and completely demystify the digital architecture of Will County's public records.
You know, it's actually incredibly common to feel lost when you're trying to access the justice system online. The whole framework of public records in Will County, Illinois, well, it's structured to protect your constitutional right to access, sure, but it also has to conform to strict state security and digital safety rules. And what that practically means for you is dealing with a pretty fragmented landscape. We're talking distinct county offices, official state portals, specialized software systems. Honestly, it can feel like you need a law degree just to look up a simple traffic ticket.
But today, we're taking all that frustration and turning it into empowerment. I'm going to walk you through the exact, free, step-by-step method to confidently navigate the Will County public record system right from the comfort of your own home. So, whether you're a total beginner running a quick background check, or maybe a small business owner looking into a contract dispute, this explainer is designed to be your complete, actionable roadmap.
Here's our agenda for today. We'll cover Will County Records 101, accessing the iPublic portal, the step-by-step search process, retrieving your documents, some FAQs and advanced tips, and finally, a quick summary and disclaimer.
Okay, Section 1, Will County Records 101. Let's understand the landscape.
First things first, we really need to map out what's actually out there before we start digging. So the Office of the Circuit Clerk handles a massive caseload, and they're the primary custodian of these records. They maintain the official files for everything, and I mean everything, from civil lawsuits like personal injury or evictions, right through to criminal filings covering both felonies and misdemeanors. You'll also find family and divorce records, probate estates, things like wills and guardianships, and of course, traffic citations. The practical value here is just immense. You might be a genealogist tracing your family history through old probate records, a landlord verifying a tenant's background, or just someone checking up on the local traffic ticket.
Now, the absolute crucial point here is understanding the boundary between the free digital dockets and the paywall for the actual document images. Basically, Will County uses a two-system architecture. On one hand, you have the iPublic portal. This is completely free, but, and this is a big but, it only gives you docket and status information. There are no actual images of the documents there. On the other hand, you have the i2 file system. This is a state-approved third-party vendor, and it requires registration and the payment of statutory fees to actually hand over those document PDFs. Getting a solid grasp on this divide right now is going to save you hours of frustration later.
Moving on to Section 2, accessing the iPublic portal, navigating the gateway.
With our landscape mapped out, let's grab our compass and walk through that primary gateway, the iPublic portal. Getting into the portal requires a few very specific steps. First, obviously, you'll navigate to the official iPublic portal, which is operated directly by the Will County Circuit Clerk. When you get there, you're going to have to agree to the user terms, essentially acknowledging that the site provides unofficial records for non-commercial use. And then comes the step that always seems to trip people up. You have to enter a valid email address. Once you do, the system immediately emails you a one-time security code, and you have to plug that right in to actually get to the search page.
Unlike a lot of other counties where you can just, click and start searching, Will County requires this unique email verification step just to log in. Now don't worry, it's just a mandatory digital safety barrier designed to protect their system. So don't be alarmed at all when it asks for your email before letting you access the search page. It's an entirely standard part of their free access process.
All right, Section 3, the step-by-step search process, execution and syntax.
So once you're past that email verification, you're officially looking at the main search interface. Now, Will County's database actually supports advanced search techniques. To get the absolute best results and to keep the system from just timing out on you, you need to know their specific syntax. They use this character-based piping syntax. It uses the pipe symbol, that straight vertical line on your keyboard. If you search a word without any prefix, it's just going to find all records containing that value literally anywhere. But to be super precise, you want to use a pipe before the word, like pipe network, to find records starting with that word. You use a pipe after the word to find records ending with it. And use a pipe on both sides for an exact match. Let me tell you, mastering this little insider tip is the key to filtering out hundreds of totally irrelevant results.
Let's jump to Section 4, interpreting and retrieving documents, taking it from search to PDF.
Okay, so you've used the syntax, you hit enter, and you've found a result. But how do you actually read this thing? And more importantly, how do you get the actual files? Well, when you click on a case in iPublic, what you're going to see is the court docket. A docket is simply a running chronological timeline of a case. It lists out filings, orders, minute entries from the judge, and any upcoming hearing dates. It's incredibly useful for just checking the status of a case or seeing what went down on a specific court date. But remember our landscape map from earlier? Reading this timeline is 100% free, but if you want to read the physical complaint itself or the actual judge's order, that's when you have to cross over into the I2 file system. So here is the exact multi-step digital request system you need to get those physical document images. Step 1. Copy the exact case number you just found for free over on iPublic. Step 2. Head over to the I2 file portal and register for a free account, making sure you select Will County as your jurisdiction. Step 3. Use their system to click Request Document Copy. You're going to paste in that case number and briefly describe what you need. Now, after you submit this, the clerk's office actually manually reviews your request. Usually within about 2 business days, they'll either approve or deny it, and then they'll send you an invoice for the statutory copy fees. And finally, step 4, you just log back in, pay that invoice, and boom, download your PDFs.
When you actually go to submit your request on I2 file, you'll notice the interface requires a few specific fields. You'll need to input the case number, choose whether you want a certified or just a regular copy, and fill in the party names and document type. Just make sure to fill all this out accurately, basing it right off your free iPublic search, and then hit submit. Simple as that.
Which brings us to Section 5, FAQs and Advanced Search Tips. We're going beyond the basics now.
Now that we have the core process down pat, I want to reveal an absolute pro tip for when you need to go beyond the basics. Or say you just hit a dead end online. What if you don't want to pay those I2 file fees? What if you want to view the full document images entirely for free? Well, you actually can. You just have to do it in person. The circuit clerk provides public access terminals. They're basically just computer kiosks where you can search, open, and read the file documents right on the screen at absolutely zero cost. These are located at the main Will County Courthouse and the annex down in Joliet, as well as the branch courts in Plainfield, Bolingbrook, and Frankfort. Seriously, if you have the time to make the drive, this is the ultimate workaround to that digital paywall.
Let's also quickly tackle some key frequently asked questions we get a lot. First off, if you need an official document for something major, like immigration or property transfer, you're going to need a certified copy that carries the official court seal. Just a heads up, those always cost extra. Second, keep in mind that not everything is public. Sealed records and juvenile cases, those are strictly restricted to protect privacy. Third, if you're sitting there thinking about submitting a Freedom of Information Act or FOIA request to the court, honestly, don't bother. The judicial branch in Illinois is actually exempt from standard FOIA requests. Their records are governed by totally different Supreme Court rules. And finally, pro tip. Always try to search by case number if you have it. It is by far the fastest, most accurate way to find what you're looking for.
All right, Section 6, Summary and Legal Disclaimer. Let's wrap this up.
We have covered a massive amount of ground today, navigating through portals, crazy syntax, and paywalls. So here's the big takeaway from this explainer. You now have a complete, workable strategy. You can map out your cases and read those timeline dockets entirely for free using the iPublic portal. Then, if you actually need the physical PDF documents without leaving your couch, you just bridge over to the I2 file system and pay the statutory fees. Or, if you want full image access without paying a single dime, you gather up your case numbers and head to a physical public kiosk at one of the Will County courthouses.
Real quick before we finish, I do need to provide a very clear disclaimer. This explainer is intended strictly for informational and educational purposes, just to help you navigate these public systems. The information we've provided today does not constitute legal advice. If you have specific legal concerns, or if you need help interpreting the actual legal meaning of a court document you find, please make sure to consult a qualified legal professional.
You know, the barriers to accessing public information can seem incredibly intimidating at first glance. But once you actually understand the architecture behind it, the system starts working for you instead of against you. So armed with this new map and compass, what are you going to uncover in the Will County archives today? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy researching.